All right, welcome to this video. We're going to talk about how to use two cameras to record a journalism-style interview, something that could be used for a news package or SOTs, or just anytime you need to record somebody and you don't have any professional equipment, but you do have access to your own phone and to someone else's phone, maybe a significant other, brother, sister, parent, something like that. So I have JC here. She's graciously helped me out, which is really nice. Hi, JC.
Hi.
Hi. So what we're going to do, we're going to use an app called Voice Recorder on this phone, and then we're just going to use the normal video app on this phone. The important thing with this phone, though, is that we lock the focus. Whatever app you use to do your videotaping, make sure you lock the focus. With this one, I just need to tap it, and then I can make sure that I have my focus locked on it. So what we're going to do, anytime we are doing an interview like this, we just need to essentially just hold the microphone out here so that we can get good audio. Now, obviously, I'm using a phone, not a professional microphone. So when I set up the framing on this, I want to make sure and frame it with good headroom and with good lead room, but also so that the phone is not in the frame. So again, if I have the phone up here like this, it's going to be in the frame, but if I keep it down here below the frame, it's going to be just fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just get a little bit lower so that I can be at JC's height, and I'm just going to tell JC, I'm going to say, just look right here at me, at my face, ignore the camera. And then with the camera, I'm just going to set it up perfectly so I have the perfect amount of headroom up here and just a little bit of lead room right in here. And as long as she's looking right at me, it's going to look fantastic. Then I'm going to hold the microphone out here so that it gets her audio, and we're not worried about my audio in this because we're going to cut it all out. Now, sometimes when you go to reach a microphone out like this, the first instinct that people have is to take it from you because they think that you're handing it to them. Don't let them take it, okay? You're going to hold the microphone, that way you can control it. Also, I'm holding it upside down. I'm holding the phone upside down. That's because the microphone on the phone is actually on the bottom part, the part you would talk in if you were on the phone. So I've got the microphone upside, or the phone upside down, so the microphone is forward. Now, in a journalism style interview, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ask JC to tell me her name.
JC.
And you can ignore the microphone. Just act like you and I are talking. No big deal.
JC.
And how do you spell JC?
Jaycee.
And what's your last name?
Harris.
And how do you spell that?
Harris.
All right, so I have them say their name. That way I know how to pronounce it if I'm going to pronounce it in the future. And I have them spell it. That way I know how to spell it as well. Some people have interesting spellings for their names, or they have a common spelling for a name, but a different way to pronounce it. That's happened to me in the past. I'm going to keep this microphone just below the frame line and just about that far away from JC's mouth as well. So I'm just going to hold it up here like this, make sure my framing is good, have her look right at me, and then I'll ask my question. What have we got going on today?
Nothing.
Nothing at all. Isn't what we got the COVID going on right now?
Yeah.
Yep, so we actually are probably a little closer than we're supposed to be. But that's okay, we live in the same house, right?
It's fine. I'm not worried.
Tell me what it's like to do the COVID.
I'm bored.
What's your normal day?
Wake up, work, school, and that's it.
Okay.
And sometimes go to the mailbox.
All right, a couple things I want you to notice. The first thing is if she's talking, I'm not. That's the most important thing. The audio is only good when she's talking. If I'm talking, then I'm messing up the audio, right? So if she starts talking, I'm going to stop talking no matter what. The second thing is if she doesn't really answer the questions very well, I want to ask follow-up questions. Make sure she talks as much as possible. That way we have something we can use as a soundbite. Now, once I've asked all my questions, I'm going to ask one last question. It's always a question I ask at the end, and that's, JC, do you have anything else that you feel is important that you want to say?
No.
Okay, sounds good. Now, lastly, I will periodically move between JC's eyes and my camera so that I can check my framing. Sometimes you get to where you're like, drifting. And as long as you're looking at the framing every once in a while, making sure that you're in good shape. The issue, though, is as soon as you start looking at the phone, they're going to be a little concerned. People don't like phones. They don't like cameras, really. So as soon as you start looking at the camera, if you're looking at the camera for an extended period of time, they're going to get a little nervous about it. So all you want to do is just kind of quickly glance. It's just like being in the car and you're looking at the rearview mirror. You just kind of glance at it, make sure that it looks good, and then you'll go back to talking eye to eye with whoever it is that you're interviewing. If you have any questions about it, let me know in the comments for sure, or just shoot me a text or whatever you want to do. Now, we're going to take all of these files into DaVinci Resolve or Adobe Premiere, depending on what editing system you use, and we're going to show you how to sync up the audio and video and make it so this is something that is usable. All right, we're here at the computer. I'm on a Mac, and so I've got a file system that looks like this. Somehow you've got to get the files onto your file system. That's going to be dependent on the file system and phone and other such things that you're going to be using. I have the video file here that has the poor audio on it. It's this 7430.mov. And I've got the audio, which for me was set to MP3. Not a huge fan of MP3, but that's what I happen to have set for this video. I'm going to go ahead and just Shift and select both of those. I'll hold down Shift, click the other one, that selects both of them, and I'll just drag them right here into the media pool into Resolve. It says that there are different frame rates than the current project settings. I'm going to go ahead and select Don't Change. I do want to double check that though. If I come down here to the lower right hand corner, I've got the gear icon. Just want to double check my current settings, 1920 by 1080, that is what I want. Frame rate 29.97, same with playback. And the monitoring is also set to 1080p 29.97. So it's possible that these files maybe were recorded at 30 frames a second, something like that. But I do want to keep it at this 29.97. That's just my preference. I'll select Cancel. Now, if we look at these, I'm going to go ahead and just drag this into my viewer. I also want to mention I am on the Edit tab. That can make things look a little different if you're not on the Edit tab. I have the Edit tab selected. If I scrub through this, we can see that this is It's Good Video. Looks like she's got a little hair in her face. I wish I'd have noticed that, but oh well, that's the way it goes. But yeah, good looking video, but because the microphone may not be where we want it to be, we may not have good audio with this. We want to make sure we've got good audio. I'm going to go ahead and just set some in and out points on this. As we can see, I was doing a little bit of talking before I actually decided I was going to interview her. So I'm just going to scrub through here until we actually decide to get to the interview, which is somewhere about in this area. I'm going to tap I on the keyboard for in point. I'm going to just hit the space bar. And sure enough, that's where we have the actual interview where she says her name and so forth. I'm just going to go ahead and scrub through. And looks like I was trying some other stuff here to get her to say some things. That's the way it goes. And I'll just go, in fact, I'll probably just go clear to the end here. Yeah, good enough. Something like that. I'll tap O on the keyboard. That's for out point. And I'll just click inside the image window here, drag it to the timeline, and now we've got ourselves a clip. Now, this one again has good video, but not so good audio. I need to take the audio from my audio recorder, which was really just the other phone, and I'm going to drag it. I'm not going to worry about the in and out points on this. I know it's closer to the end here, and I just want to make sure that I'm just kind of looking at the waveforms right now. And I'm going to try and get them as close to what they actually were as possible. We can see as I get to this point, we can look at those waveforms and see that they actually match quite a bit right through there. So I know I'm really, really close. If you don't know exactly where you were, it actually can help. In fact, I probably should have mentioned this when I recorded this, but if you can get your person that you're interviewing to clap on camera, in other words, you have them clap inside the video frame, and also have your audio recorder, your other phone, recording at the time, you'll get a nice clap on the video. You'll get a clapping waveform, which is a nice sharp peak in the waveform, and then you'll also get a clap on the audio recording. It's a lot easier to match. Probably should have done that, but I didn't, so I'm just doing it a little bit of the hard way and just trying to get these to match based solely on sight looking at this. I'm going to go ahead and bring the playhead to the middle, and I'm going to hit Command and plus sign a couple times. I'm on a Mac, so it's Command. If you are on a PC, it's not going to be Command, it's going to be something like Control. Looks like these are pretty close. Now, obviously, the only way to know for sure is to hit the space bar and play and see if they work. And what's your last name?
Harris.
And how do you spell that?
Harris.
And obviously that is not quite right, so I will need to move this until I get it right. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to watch her mouth and listen to the audio that's coming out of her mouth. That is the audio that I need to get synced up. And at the same time, I'm going to listen to the audio on the other track and see if I can tell how far off they are.
Ask my questions. What have we got going on today?
Nothing at all. Isn't
Nothing.
what we got the
Nothing
COVID
at all.
going on right now?
Yeah.
We got the
Yep,
COVID
so
going
we
on right
actually
now.
are probably a little closer than we're
we
supposed to
actually
be.
are probably
So she just barely said nothing. I saw the words align with her mouth. And then I heard her say nothing again, which I know is from this other track. So I know that this track needs to come ahead just a little bit. So I'm going to bring it ahead just a couple of seconds. And even as I do this just a little bit, I can see the waveforms lining up even better. Once I get to this point, I can tell they're lined up really, really closely. I'm just looking at these different peaks and valleys and seeing that they're really, really close. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the space bar.
What have we got going on today?
Nothing at all. So they're really, really close now. Really, really close. I can tell they're really, really close. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a little bit more. Command and plus sign. And I can see now some of these peaks that are just not quite right that I need to adjust. So I'm just going to adjust it just a little bit. And I'm going to hit the space bar, listen to it again. Nothing at all. Isn't what looks like I might be going the wrong direction. So let me move it just a little bit.
I'm bored.
Really, really close now.
What's your normal day?
Really close now.
What's your normal day?
Need to come this way just a bit.
What's your normal day? What's your normal day? What's your normal day? What's your normal day?
You could tell this would be where having that clap would have helped quite a bit.
What's your normal day?
Okay, there we go. So you can see as soon as I get these aligned, now they're not quite the same, and that makes sense because I got one microphone that's closer to me, and I've got one microphone that's closer to her. So they're not going to be the exact waveforms, but I can tell there's the same sorts of things going on. As I play this now,
What's your normal day?
I want to make sure that that audio is exactly aligned. I'm going to go ahead and zoom out just a little bit with Command minus sign. I'm going to listen to her talking now.
Wake up, work, school.
And that is just spot on. That's exactly how I want it to be. I'm going to go ahead and zoom out a little bit more. Command minus sign, Control minus sign if you're on the PC. Maybe I'll go in just a little bit with a Command plus. What I want to do now is I'm just going to break up this audio so that it's the exact same in and out point length as the video. This one over here will be a little easier because it's really, really close. I can just take my mouse, put it right here at the end of the clip, and just bring it right here until it's aligned perfectly with the end. This one I'll probably want to blade, so I'll just come up here to my blade tool, which would be B on the keyboard. I'm going to align it perfectly with the very beginning of this clip, click it, come back up here to my arrow tool now, and I can tell if I just select both of these, they're the exact same length, same duration, same in and out point as far as the timeline is concerned. Now what I want to do is I want to delete this audio that's associated with the clip itself and replace it with this audio that was recorded from a separate device. So I first need to unlink this video from its audio. I'll right-click on the video, and right here there's a check mark next to link clips. That's because the audio and video are linked together. I'm going to check that or click it so that the check mark goes away. And now if I click away from the clip, it deselects both of them. I can now click and to select the audio and hit the delete key. And then now I want to link this video with this audio, the one that came from the device that was right in front of her face. I'll click to select the video, hold the shift key down and click to select the audio, right click on the video again and select link clips. Notice that the check mark is not there. These two clips are currently not linked. As soon as I click this check mark or this, it's going to have the check mark. If I right click one more time, you can see the check mark is there. That makes these clips linked. If I move one, the other comes with it. If I move the audio, the video stays with it. So these two now are properly linked together. I've got the audio that came right from that microphone that was really, really close to her face, but I've got video from the camera that was getting proper framing, good headroom, good lead room, and so forth. This is exactly what we want to have happen if we don't have professional equipment. If we listen to it,
to pronounce it. That's happened to me in the past. I'm going to keep this microphone just below the frame line and just about,
And obviously this is what we recorded when we were actually recording this very video.
I'm not worried.
Tell me what it's like to do the COVID.
I'm bored.
What's your normal day?
Wake up.
So as I look at the levels now, I can see that they're just a little bit low. All I got to do is just mouse over this audio clip until it becomes that up and down, and I can just drag that audio up. I can see the waveform coming up. I definitely don't want to peak, but it's her audio that I'm concerned about, not when I'm talking as the interviewer.
Work.
You can see those are much better levels.
School. And that's
We've got them right about, what, -6, -10, somewhere in that area. That's exactly where we want them to be. Now, this clip is is a good clip. How can we then use it in a package? Well, I'll tell you what, if I just click and drag now the video up here to my media, my bin, we have now this clip that has the correct video and audio, and I can rename it if I want to. I'll just click it and that selects it. I can rename it now. I can call this interview, and I'm ready to go. That has good audio, good video, everything is perfect on that. So that's how you do this with two phones when you don't have professional equipment to get good video as well as good audio. I hope this works. Let me know if you have any questions. Happy to answer any questions that you might have, and take care.